Hello, lovelies. Good day and welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year to everyone listening to me right now. I pray the Lord blesses this year 2024 for us in Jesus' name. If you are new here, you're welcome. My name is Oluwatosin, and to all my returning subscribers, you're also welcome. Thank you so much for always stopping by my channel. Thanks for always coming back to watch my videos. In today's tutorial, guys, we are going to be learning how to make a dress with a crisscross back and then a front slit, something exactly like what you are seeing on your screen. And guys, this dress can serve as a beach wear, it can serve as a party wear, as the case may be. So without talking too much, let's jump right into the video. Firstly, we are going to be drafting the upper bodies on a pattern paper, and we are going to be cutting the front and back of this dress together. It's not going to have joining at the side. So I went ahead to mark the half length. The half length is 16. I just added 1 inch allowance to the length. Then I connected that into a straight line. The next thing to do is to mark out our bust divided by 4. She's 40 divided by 4 gives me 10. I connected that into a straight line as well. The next is to measure her shoulder divided by 4 and then her armhole. Then I proceeded to marking out her armhole curve. So the next is to measure the bust and then the waist without any form of allowance, and then you are going to connect those 2 points together. The next is to determine how low you want the off shoulder to be. I used 5 and then proceed to marking the neckline. The neckline I used 8. I'm using this faint pencil because I'm still going to trace it out with an actual marker, the lines that we really need, because it's not all these lines that we are going to be needing. So after connecting the neckline, from the waistline I divided our waist by 4. She's 36 divided by 4 gives me 9. So from that waistline I proceeded to marking line. This is marking for the back panel now, and from that 9 I flipped my tape rule to the other side just the way I did, and then I went inward with 4 inches. Sorry, I went inward with 5 inches. What I have left is 4, and on the bust I marked 4 inches as well. Then I connected those 2 points together. The next is to draw out the armhole curve from where my finger is pointing at, and then just connect to draw like a proper off shoulder armhole line, not like a dress that is not off shoulder armhole line like I drew initially. So just draw out a proper off shoulder armhole line just like I'm doing, and that is it for the back panel. What is left is just to curve towards the side a little. Because of the nature of the style that I'm working with, I'm going to insert the picture up for you guys to see. It's not completely straight at that part, so I went upward with 1 inch and then I proceeded to drawing the arc. Then now I proceeded to using my marker to rule out the actual lines that I'm going to be cutting out. And basically here are the actual lines I'm cutting out. The other faint line, I'm not going to cut them out. And this pattern paper is supposed to be on fold of 2. So I'm putting that mark there so that I can remember when I'm transferring it to my main fabric that my fabric has to be on fold of 2. So to the main fabric now, you can see that it is on fold of 2. So I'm going to cut it out, adding like ½ inch allowance to each side apart from the middle that is on fold of 2. The allowance is basically for turning, because the upper bodice is going to have like a complete lining. It's just the lower part that is not going to be lined. So this is what I have at this point after cutting, and then this is for front and back like I said earlier. I'm just trying to fold it to show you guys what it's going to look like after cutting. Then this is the strap that I used as the rope. I just cut as long as I want. I made it 2 inches wide, and then I'm going to join all of that together and sew it into a straight line. Now for the lower bodies, I'm going to be cutting the back first. So what I did is a hip divided by 4, and then I added 17 inches allowance. This is for the back. The back is just going to be an A line. Then I proceeded to marking our waistline divided by 4. She's 36 divided by 4. Then I added 1½ inch allowance for zip and 1½ inch allowance for sewing, and from that point I'm just going to bring out my hand out to the whole of the fabric and then proceed to cutting that out. The next thing is I want to create like a channel where the zip is going to stay. So I'm just going to measure how long I want the zip to be, and then I'm going to mark that. Then I'll tear it open from the up to that point that I marked. To the back panel now, I folded the piece into two. Sorry, to the front panel now, I folded the piece into two. I marked a hip divided by 4. Then what I have left here is 30. I added 15 inches on both sides. So what I have is 30. Then I'll proceed to marking our waistline divided by 4, which is 9 because she's 36. Then I'm going to be adding 1.5 inch sewing allowance. Then I'm also going to be adding additional 6 inches. This 6 inches is for lapping because the slit is going to lap. Then from that point, I'm going to rule out my line to the lower part of the dress, and then I'm just going to proceed to cutting that out. It is that simple basically. The next thing to do when I'm done doing this is to put a notch at the middle up and put a notch at the middle down. After that, I'm going to open it up, and when I open it up from the middle, I'm going to measure 5 inches or 6 inches to whatever side that I want the slit to be. In this case, I want it to be on the left. So I measured 6 inches towards the left, and I marked that point, and that point I'm just going to carefully fold it, and then I'll tear it open from up to down. So just carefully fold that part, and then you open it up from up to down. Then after opening it up, I'm going to take that to my sewing machine, and then I'll stitch it on both sides. I'll stitch that, and then I'll stitch that part for the other piece as well. After this, I proceeded to cutting lining for the upper bodice. I used the fabric as well because I'm going to be using one to turn the other. So the next thing to do is, at this point, I had already gone to stitch down the slit side, and then I'm going to arrange it. Just measure the 6 inches that we added while cutting, measure it, and then that point is where the lapping is going to stop. So just lap it on each other with 6 inches, and then basically that is it for the front panel. So the next thing I'll do is I'm just going to pin both of them down, then I'll take it to my sewing machine and secure it down with a straight stitch. Then for the back panel, I proceeded to sewing the zip side. I created the channel where the zip is going to stay, and then that is it. I sew like 2 to 3 inches upward just to create space for the zip to stay. Then I went ahead to sew the rope. For the rope, I cut out 6 pieces that measure 3 inches each. That's the part where I'm like, that's the one I'll sew for the rope to pass inside. Then the next is to fold the front and back again, and then we trim the front to the exact measurement of the back for the lower part of the dress now. Then that's exactly what I'm doing here. I just proceeded to placing it on each other, front and back, and then I trimmed it out. I left the zipper allowance at the back. So I'll be creating another notch at the middle of the front now. The next is to start sewing the upper bodice. So firstly, I'm going to be attaching this loop. Then I'll be sewing 3 on each side. Then I'll do that to the other side as well, 3 on each side, yeah. Then I'll proceed to turning the neckline. I'm going to attach the strap inside it before turning it. I'm just going to stitch it down on the 2 sides. Then I'm going to turn it. So to my sewing machine now, firstly I attached the loop like I said, 3 on each side. I did that to the 2 sides. Then I proceeded to turning the neckline. Basically that's it, guys. If you are still with me at this point and you've not subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you get notified when next I upload new video on this channel. So I'm securing the strap down now. I did that to the both sides. Then I proceeded to turning. I turned the neckline, the armhole, the shaping side. Then I turned that like 3 inches at the down, the part that is not going to enter the joining on the waistline. I turned it as well. Then I did the same thing to the other side, and I flipped it to the right side. when I was done. So after flipping it to the right side, I pressed it, and this is what is looking like at this point. So the next thing to do now is to shape the lower bodies. I proceeded to pinning the zipper allowance, then I placed the right side on the right side, then I measured 36, I marked 18 to the right and 18 to the left. Then from that point, I'm just going to sew it straight down because it is an A-line dress. So after this, guys, the next thing is to join the upper bodies to the lower bodies, and to do this, I'm going to locate the middle of these lower bodies, and you can notch it, but I'm not going to notch mine because I've weaved it already. So I'm just going to put a mark there so that I can easily identify the middle. Then I'm going to locate the middle of the upper bodies as well. Then I'm going to mark it. You can notch it like I said, but I'll not be notching mine because I whipped it already. So I'll be pinning middle on middle, making sure that the right side of the upper bodies is facing the right side of the lower bodies. So after pinning, the next thing to do is to sew it together. So I'm going to be starting from the middle to the left side, and then I'll sew and stop at that part, that's 3 inches that I turned at the back. I don't know if you guys can remember. That 3 inches that I turned at the back is where I'm going to stop my sewing. I'll do that to the left, and then I'll do that to the right. So this is where I'm going to stop my sewing. Hope you guys get what I'm saying. So taking that to my sewing machine, I'm going to sew it that way to one side, then I'll sew it the other side as well. I'm just measuring that part. Lower bodies is 6 inches, and then on the upper bodies is 3 inches that is going to be exposed. This inches depends on how exposed you want yours to be. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and please give this video a thumbs up. If you have any question, do not hesitate to ask me in the comment section. And when I was done, basically this is what my dress is looking like. Thank you so much for sticking with me. If you are still with me from the beginning of this video till this point, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you find this video helpful and interesting. Please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. In case you have a question, don't forget to ask me down in the comment section. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.